7:30. Before we open the meeting, Clay wants to make a short announcement.
Okay, this is concerning the dog incident that we had some weeks ago. And we take, the board takes it very, very seriously.
Speak a little louder.
The board takes the dog incident very seriously. And we've thus far gotten some accounts from witnesses. We just learned from Andy, he went down to animal control in Loveland, and they have responded with some information. And it turns out that the dog owner, who is Jason Bixby, is not an owner of the house. So Caitlin, who is the owner of the house, must then be responsible for the dog. And that's a wrinkle that we had not known about. They had 2 pit bulls, one of which was put down a few days ago. I do not know which animal was responsible for the attack. So that's now new. But they have agreed to talk to us, but the meeting has not yet been set up, but they have agreed to talk to us at some point. And so we'll learn some more then. But that's the situation right now. Other than there will be a county animal control meeting on the 7th as far as the citation went, but it's not yet on their docket. So I don't know whether that will go on the 7th, and I do not know whether we can participate at all in that meeting. But we're right in the middle of the investigation, basically. So we'll try to see it through.
Thank you, Clay. All right. I must apologize to the people on Zoom. The Zoom announcement went out. It should not have gone out because the purpose of this meeting is to have a vote, and we do not have a mechanism for anyone participating remotely to vote. We cannot hold a Zoom meeting. So Andy, please terminate the Zoom meeting.
I don't see what the problem here is. These are, clearly there's enough people here that would like to see what's going on.
They can't
If
vote.
If they can't vote, they can't vote.
That is not the way we work, and therefore everyone has the opportunity to vote. That is why we did not set up a Zoom meeting.
There's nothing in the rules about that whatsoever, and this is actually an issue of transparency. I think those that are uncomfortable with an in-person meeting, we never decided as a board whether or not to have an in-person meeting or a meeting that would accommodate those who can't be in the room for their own health and safety.
The petition specifically says to hold a vote. Therefore, we must hold the vote. Therefore, participation remotely, we don't have a mechanism, we can't do it. Please terminate it.
We've had Zoom meetings with votes previously, so we have had a mechanism. We never decided this, you decided this unilaterally, and that's part of the issue.
Andy, I'm not gonna continue this debate.
I don't think
Please terminate it, or I will
doesn't-
unplug your projector.
Please do not touch any of my personal property.
It is simple as this.
Whoa, wait a minute. What is this?
The problem is the vote. People have to have the opportunity to vote.
But can't they just watch, even though they're not gonna vote?
I have a proxy for one of the people that also wants to just listen, but I already know their wishes, so.
Okay. All right, we have a quorum. So call the meeting to order, and I would wish to establish some ground rules. First off, please do not speak until recognized. All statements must be relevant to the question at hand. Comments must address the issue, not personalities. This board was elected on May 25th, 2022. So comments should be restricted to that time frame. And no cross discussion. Please address all remarks to the chair. If you have a question, we will ask the person that you have the question of if they wish to answer. Okay. Andy?
I'd like to make a motion on old business. We have never actually established the terms of each of the board members since May 25th. That's within this time period. So on a removal, we don't actually know the time period left on the open seat that it would be created if it were successful. I've brought 3 straws. We've
think
talked
that's
about this.
not on the agenda tonight,
This is
is
the
it?
This is the 7th meeting that we've had since May 25th, and we haven't taken care of establishing the terms. And I think it is relevant and possibly consideration for the voting, because it's possible our annual meeting is supposed to be in mid-November, particularly per the bylaws of the PID. And it might be relevant to somebody that if I draw the short straw, that my term might just be up in a few weeks.
That is not, I hear what you're saying. I do not believe that it is relevant
She doesn't like it.
to the vote.
I'd make a motion that we continue with the vote.
I've made a motion, motion's on the floor to have draw
I'm
straws for
sorry,
a term
I
limit.
ruled it out of order.
Yes, I understand it. There's only one issue on the agenda tonight, and that's the vote whether or not to remove Mr. Mowery from the board. And I would make a motion to continue that vote.
I don't believe motions can actually come from the floor, is that correct? Or is that?
This is a members meeting, so
It's a
yes.
members meeting?
Is there a second?
Aye, Heather Baumgartner.
Okay. All right, Walker, as you have made the motion, you have the right to first comment if you so desire.
Okay, I would defer any comments at this point. I would reserve that right.
Anybody? Andy?
Well, in the last time that we had this meeting, this type of meeting, which was in 2019, and I believe it's relevant to talk about our consistency of practices, the president at the time demanded that the petitioners give a list of written grievances so that the person or the persons would have time to prepare in advance their response to the grievances. I've asked for that to be provided, and as we sit right now, and I believe when you announced that the petition had been received at the last board meeting on October 6th, you stated that no grievances needed to be given, no reason needed to be given, and then you demanded my resignation on the spot.
That is incorrect.
So, will we have any petitioners giving any grievances at this time?
So the question is, do any of the petitioners wish to put forth any grievances? Yes?
Can we know who the petitioners were? Cause I don't know who that is.
Why? What's the reasoning?
So, I am unsure about what does the board think regarding,
You just decided
No,
unilaterally what happened on the last issue. Now it comes back to us.
what
This
does,
is inconsistent within this own meeting.
what does the board think relative to releasing the petitioners' names?
They weren't secret last time.
That's true.
I think we have kind of need to know why.
Clay, do you have a comment?
Opinion on whether the names of the petitioners should be released.
Mhm.
I don't really have a basis for having an opinion. I don't know if there's any places in DORA that insist upon that or not.
Well, our bylaws don't say anything about that.
I have no problem standing up and saying, I signed the petition. And I don't know if anybody else wants to make that admission. I have no problem with that.
In your, gotta be recognized.
One moment, please.
Can I ask a question?
One moment, please. Andy?
So, in your announcement, you said that you had actually verified all of the signatures, and used the word duly, they were verified. I believe that one of the signatures is actually from somebody that it does not appear on the title for the home.
Well, I can address that too. That home was held in trust and she is a trustee and so she signed this.
That's not what appears on the county records. There's one of the two parties, that signed, that's on the records, one is not.
You only
And
need-
then-
But
there's no
they're in the
trust-
same, are
there's
they
no
in
trust.
the, are
you
they
only
in
need
the,
one
s-
party to sign.
are they in the same house?
That is correct.
Then it's still legitimate because there's only,
But it calls into question whether or not you actually looked up and verified this information. You said you did this
I
on your own.
verified the signatures.
How would you verify the signatures? Have you previously seen their signatures?
You talk to people. There was a question, yes.
Yeah, the petition was started, like how many people signed the petition? Was it a majority to require it to come
So-
to the fact that, and then what's the reasoning behind it? Shouldn't we know why we're trying to
Yes.
vote him on or off?
Agreed.
We were never approached for this.
So, hold on.
Yeah.
Your first question was how many? According to our bylaws, it takes 9 to, have a special meeting, and there were 9,
Okay.
all right?
So-
As to the reason, both Kiowa and the bylaws state with or without cause, it is up to the petitioners as to whether they wish to, provide reasons.
Could the chair recognize me for a moment?
Yes?
So Kiowa requires 20% of the community actually sign a petition for removal of board member, the Nonprofit Act, 7-128-108 is the process that we're following.
And that is incorrect. Kiowa does require 20%.
All right, hold on.
But you
Unless the
down.
bylaws-
Sit down.
And you don't have the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless, and this is one of those cases where we've stated repeatedly at meetings that state law always supersedes, except this is one of those 69 instances where there's an asterisk and it says, unless your declarations say otherwise.
Correct.
So it's 20% per state law, but ours actually say 10%. It doesn't say nine persons or 9 households. It says 10%. That number, because we have 87 homes, works out to be 9. That's a better explanation than anything says 9 homes. It just doesn't say that.
Man,
I think it would just be common courtesy and common decency to give us a reason why.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're uninformed voters. And I specifically remember you, Laura, asking why at the previous meeting, and I think it's only fair and proper. Otherwise, we're kind of left not knowing what we're voting for, and I think many people would lean to vote one direction because of that.
Yeah, I agree.
so just so you all know, I am here to moderate. I have nothing to do with the petition. And it is strictly up to the petitioners as to whether or not what they share.
Okay, so, I mean, can we hear from them then? Because I recall the last time we went through this, that the petitioners were named, all parties were named, and all parties stood up for why they wanted the board to be replaced. And I feel like past boards have been accused of not being transparent, and I'm not seeing a lot of transparency right now as to why we're gonna vote Andy out with no, I don't know why we're doing it. Has he done something egregious, or?
So, do any of the petitioners wish to?
I'll be glad to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Walker Flanary, for those who don't know me. And I'm a lot of things, okay? I'm a very direct person. I can be very abrasive. I'm not gonna win any popularity contests. I sometimes get my ass on my shoulders, just ask my wife. I'm a lot of things. I have low tolerance for hypocrisy and willful ignorance. But I tell you who I'm not, okay? I'm not your neighbor who has threatened lawsuits against his neighbors and his fellow board members who have served with him on the board. That distinction lies with Mr. Mowery. I'm not the guy who filed an unfounded, frivolous lawsuit against you folks for $750,000. Once again,
To the chair, I believe you said you had nothing before May 25th.
Well, I am addressing the homeowners, Andy, and I appreciate if you let me
Okay,
speak.
so hold on.
It's a point of order. You established the ground rules. He's not following the ground rules.
Yeah,
I presume that you are leading to a point.
I am.
Is that correct?
I am. I am not the guy who filed a civil rights complaint for discrimination with the Civil Rights Commission of the state of North Carolina against this homeowners association. That distinction, once again, lies with Mr. Mowery. I am not the guy who has a website and who emails people in this community who constantly criticizes and denigrates everything the board does and comes up with conspiracy theories about people who are out to get him off the board or for whatever reason. That's not me. I don't do that. I don't send emails out. I don't blog. That's Mr. Mowery. Now, many of you have witnessed his demeanor, okay, and his attitude at the board meetings that we've had over the last few months. I think that speaks for itself, myself, okay? And finally, I am not the guy who, as a sitting board member on this present board, who filed a claim with our insurance company for defamation against Laura Ballweber. I'm not that guy. That's Andy Mowery. Now, I don't know what Mr. Mowery's motives are. I don't know if it's money or attention or just sport. I have no idea, okay? But this is what I do know. That he has demonstrated time and again that he is not acting in the best interests of this community. I think that's unquestionable. And if you read his current blog posts, one that he posted today, if you were fortunate or unfortunate enough to read that, I think that will speak for itself. And that's why I would urge you as the members to remove him from the board.
Was there a question or?
If you have any questions.
I just didn't know when was the defamation recently?
That was within the last couple of months.
And like, was that posted on the website? I missed it.
No, it was not. It was filed with our insurance company, the HOA's insurance
So
company.
how would I know that as a homeowner?
Well, it wasn't posted. I mean,
How do you know that though?
because I spoke to Miss Ballweber here, but she asked me, how do I handle this?
So you're telling another homeowner, but we don't know that? Like, I'm just confused, like, how would I not know this as a homeowner?
Well,
But somebody that's on the board knows that.
Because I am trying to find out some more information before the community was informed.
But I don't understand why I'm different from Mr. Flanary. Like, why didn't I know about this defamation suit and he did? Like, I'm just trying to understand this.
Or whether there is a defamation suit.
no, there is no definition suit.
But if there's
So that's
a
a false
talk of
claim.
it, like,
I never made
why
that
does he
claim.
All right,
know that
stop,
and I
stop.
don't know this?
Because I was seeking guidance from previous board members, and he happened to be close.
So none of the people that, you didn't seek guidance from anyone who actually went through this before, right?
'Cause
I
we
went
don't
through it
know
before.
before.
All right.
That's true, you did. But who was on the board at the time?
I apologize for whatever feelings are hurt.
No,
I'm not hurt, I'm just trying to
No, I think if
understand.
that's the reason that he's doing this, that he did the petition, from that knowledge, shouldn't we all know that knowledge prior to that petition going out?
Thank you for
Well,
sharing.
that was
I
my,
think
that was
that's
my
relevant
petition, and I take
information that
full
might
responsibility
It
for that.
was-
I was trying to spare, I guess,
Thank you.
From the knowledge that you
I
learned
was
about that.
trying to spare people's feelings to some degree, okay? And the law provides that we can remove a board member with or without cause. Okay?
So it was not my intention at all for that to have been mentioned, because as I said, I am still looking for, trying to find some additional information.
And I appreciate that, I'm just hearing that, you know, hypocrisy and like, I don't stand for being hypocritical, but yet past boards were accused of not being transparent, and this is, to me, is definition of not being transparent.
Well,
And
again,
so-
I had nothing to do
Okay, I'm just
with
saying,
the
it's easy to
petition.
sit back and point fingers at people, but when you're, so that's all I'm saying.
Here.
Well, that's my, I wear that on my shoulders, okay, I do. I didn't think it was probably a good thing to involve an uproar in the community if this can be done without specifying what I feel are egregious actions on the part of Mr. Mowery toward this community.
Clay.
One reason the homeowners were not notified, because we were informed by the insurance company that they did not find grounds for such claims. And so
That's not
the
true.
insurance company not finding grounds meant that they were not going to do anything. So it basically came to nothing.
No, and I appreciate that, Clay, I'm just saying, like, why were some homeowners aware of what was going on, but the rest of us aren't smart enough or whatever to be,
So,
Well, it depends on at what level it needed to be widely known. And it was, I don't think it went to that level, although the claim was made to the insurance company. And
What was the basis of the claim?
stop, hold on, I'm trying to get.
But you're allowing the discussion to
I'm
continue on
trying
a
to-
false
I'm
basis.
trying
May I
to-
please have the floor?
I'm trying to stop it. Let Clay finish. And then,
Okay.
So I had, so a particular analyst there was assigned the case. I talked to her, and she then said, okay, well, I've got to talk to my lawyers. And so she had a conference with her lawyers, and then later, apparently, the lawyers at the insurance company said that there wasn't a basis to proceed. And so we got information that there's no basis to proceed with it, and so it went away.
And
Great. So what actually happened on the August 1st meeting was that Director Ballweber made an accusation. She said that I committed a crime, and she had to turn it into the FBI.
and that is incorrect.
She did. She said it, and it's on recording. So, and I have the floor at the moment. So she turned it into the crime center, the Internet Crime Center. Is that correct? That's run by the FBI?
You have the floor.
So you made a statement on that day that you had turned it in because I had set up your Gmail account because you didn't understand how to set up delegate accounts. The main email address, Poudre Overlook HOA @gmail, needs to be accessed by board members with delegate accounts. That's how the prior board had done so. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So I set that up. Director Ballweber didn't want to set up her own Gmail account, so I created one, POHOA Laura @gmail.com, and then I did the permissions so that the account was set up because she didn't want to cooperate. Then she didn't like that email address. Clay didn't like his email address. Clay set up his own. Clay then got connected. Director Ballweber did not, and then she decided to go to the FBI and make a claim that I had impersonated her by setting up her Gmail account. That came out at the August 1st meeting. It was also at that meeting when she came up after the meeting, in fact, it had not yet adjourned, and she said, we're going to have to remove you. So her detachment from the petitioners, isn't really there. There's actually an orchestration going on here, and as you can see, Mr. Flanary is the consult, and she's taking either information or direction from Mr. Flanary. This is out in the open here at this meeting. So what I did was, having been confronted with being told that I've committed a crime, which I know is false, I'm setting up a Gmail account for my fellow board member who doesn't want to do so. And she turns it into the FBI. So I went to the American Family Insurance Company and I said, I'm being accused of a crime. I would like you to defend me just like you defended the prior board and individuals who weren't on the board, who had left the board, who had been removed from the board, because that's what American Family Insurance did with my litigation. Now, since we're not going to talk about that litigation, or can I respond since it's been brought up?
Well, I tell you what.
I mean, I don't see how this is fair in saying you can't talk about the past, then it's brought up, which Mr. Flanary also did last November at the last election. In fact, he's brought it up at almost every single meeting. Yet, we have a settlement agreement. Theoretically, everything is settled. Yet, the issue is it keeps getting brought up as though I have done something wrong. So, let's talk about that.
Now, I'm gonna
Let's talk,
interrupt you for a
no,
moment.
I believe we need to talk about, just a moment.
I will come back to you, but right now.
No, we need to talk about
Right now.
whether or not I'm responding to what Mr. Flanary said.
The topic
Okay.
of
So
conversation.
you're cutting me off. Okay, I'll go sit down and I'll just obey you.
The topic.
I don't want to be like Mr. Flanary describes me as being the problem here. I would like a fair opportunity to respond to what he said is the basis for this for my removal. But I guess you're just going to dictate here. I'll sit down, let me know when I'm able to tell people about why it's necessary for homeowners to engage in litigation if they do not believe that Kiowa is being followed or the law is being followed. That's a necessary component. It's not for personal gain.
Okay, so the reason I interrupted was because the topic was the American Family Insurance, and you were leading that topic. And I wish to respond.
So I'm sorry, did you interrupt Mr. Flanary as he bounded from one topic to another? Now I'm limited to one topic. Is that now the new ground rules as we're going along?
Andy, stop putting words in my mouth.
Okay.
You're doing it again. So I will say, I forget the exact date, got an email that there had been a Gmail account set up in my name, which I did not set up. We have been the victim of identity theft in the past. I was concerned. I went to Google, as Andy always says to do. And they said, if you think there's a problem, contact the Internet Complaint Center,
Which is the FBI.
which I did.
So you
I
filed a
was-
complaint.
You let her speak, Andy.
I reported it as an email intrusion. No names were mentioned. And once you make the report, it goes off into the Ethernet somewhere. Somebody looks at it and decides what to do with it. Once the report is filed, you get no case number, there is no contact, and you cannot pull it back. It dawned on me the next day that maybe Andy had done this, and so I emailed him and asked him and received no reply. And only later did I find out that indeed Andy had done, and I specifically asked him not to do it. I specifically asked him to take it down, and that I would set up my own account. That is the story of my report to the Internet Complaint Center.
May I respond? So on the day that I set up the account, I literally sent the email saying, this is what I'm doing. And then I gave step-by-step instructions on what she needed to do to complete the steps on her end. So when you set up a delegate account, there's the initial creation of the account, and then you have permissions that go from one account to the other. Both of the fellow board members that I'm dealing with have said they're not comfortable with computers and this technology.
That is untrue. Andy,
And so I'm going to continue I have the floor.
interrupt because you do
But
have the floor.
I did send an email,
Making personal
but I did send an
comments.
email and I said specifically, here's the instructions with screenshots and here's the additional steps that you need to finish the process so that we all have access to the same account and that all of our actions are then recorded individually. Because it is not secure for us to just share passwords over the internet and then all just log in using the same password on the main admin account. That is problematic and we should not be operating in that manner. So that said, I set up the account and I gave you at that time.
I do have a
And I
point.
gave you at that time an email. So what was the date of your report to the?
I do have a
Senate?
report,
Because I have the email showing when I gave you clear instructions with screenshots on what to do after that.
Our agenda says the meeting ends at 7, we are after 7. If we are going to continue to 7:30, which is what we have the room booked for, we need a motion and a vote to continue the meeting.
I make a motion to continue.
Okay? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
This is fun.
Can I say something here?
Just 1 minute, please. We need to take a vote
Come on here.
to continue the meeting. All in favor, please raise your hand, 1 hand per household, since I don't know who everyone lives in the house.
One hand, she's got her.
1, 2, can you count with me, Clay, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get 13.
Yes.
Okay. All opposed?
If we don't continue, you can't vote.
Yes, you would vote.
Are you would?
Yes,
Okay.
the vote would be immediate.
And that counts, we have proxies as well.
So we'll,
We have 9
uh,
We have 17 proxies.
all right, back up one step. You're a yay. I apologize again, I'm doing the best I can. Please raise your hand if you're in favor of continuing the meeting. And let me know if you have any proxies, so you were yes. Yes,
Another proxy for that one.
so that's 1, 2, 3,
No proxies.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I have 3.
Yeah,
Or
7.
excuse me, 2 proxies in addition to me.
Right, 7, 8, 9, 10,
I have a proxy.
11. I have a proxy. 12, 13. All by yourself?
Yes.
14, 15,
Just me.
16.
And her, one more separator.
Who could forget?
Sorry, Herb. 18.
May I continue
No,
responding
you
to
gotta
that?
get the no vote.
That takes the no vote.